On today's Church TechCast streaming show, all about Renewed Vision's ProPresenter 5 stage display. The ChurchTechCast.com network is happily provided to you by viewers like you. Join all the others that are helping make this possible by heading over to Patreon, patreon.com/Paul Allen Cliff, PaulAlanclif, and go over there and support the show for as little as just $1 a month. Every little bit helps, and it helps make these shows possible and improve the quality of the shows. So head over today. Well, hello everyone. My name is Paul Allen Clifford, and I'm your host for yet another one of these Screencast shows. And I would love for you, if you have any questions or comments, or if you'd like to just join in with ideas that you have for future shows, head on over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/contact. And if you head on over there, you can find all my contact information, and you could just leave a comment on the blog. That's fine as well. Or you'll see under my picture my Twitter handle, Paul Allen Cliff, PaulAlanclif. Remember, that's the shortest way to spell all three of those, and they're 4 characters each, and there's no E's. So any of those things that help you remember that, you can absolutely reach me there. My phone number is 1-877-POD-ECHO, 1-877-763-3246. And as well, you can drop me a line on email, paul@trinitydigitalmedia.com. And if you do that, I would be happy to talk to you. But let's actually get into the meat and potatoes of today's show. So Renewed Vision has this software product called ProPresenter 5, which you may know, am a huge fan of. Here we have just the copy that I have on my MacBook Pro. And one thing that I hear from time to time is, man, wouldn't it be great if we could have a separate display for lyrics for the people that are singing, or for slide notes for the pastor? Well, I can help you out with that. If we go, this is on a Mac, of course, you can tell by the red, yellow, and green over here, although this one isn't red. But anyway, we're on a Mac here, so immediately above this, where you can't see, is the ProPresenter 5 menu. So I'm going to click on that, and you see About ProPresenter, etc., etc. Well, I'm going to go down here to Preferences. When I click on Preferences, I've got some different choices. Display is what I want to do for this configuring of the stage display. And you'll see right here, Configure Stage Display. Now, in this particular case, I'm not going to click Enable Stage Display because I don't have the hardware set up to do a stage display. I'll put a link to some of the hardware down below the video, and you can go to Amazon and pick it up. It's very inexpensive. Basically, you've got a USB to VGA adapter that then you can run out of your computer and get a discrete stage display. So you can do this with an iMac. You can do this with a Mac Mini, MacBook Pro. Heck, I guess you could do it with a Mac Pro if you wanted to, although it would be a lot of kind of unnecessary. But anyway, so you can use this piece of hardware to create a stage display. Now, you can do it a couple other ways too. If you're using OS X Mavericks, I haven't tested this, but I believe that it's the case that you could enable a stage display on an Apple TV. I know that there is an app for iOS that you can enable a stage display on an iPhone or on an iPad. So you can download that and just search in the App Store for that as well. So any of those should be able to show the stage display. The iOS versions, the Apple TV and the iPhone and iPad, those will do it wirelessly, but this other way is a wired, very reliable way to do it. So I'm going to click on Configure Stage Display here, and we'll see that this pops up. So first let me move this so that we get it pretty much completely in the frame. So basically, here, let me just center this. You'll notice a few things. First off, this is the control for what we have here, and then behind here, which I can move this over to the side so that you can see, this is a representation of what it will look like on the stage display. So I've got a couple of different stage displays set up here, and I can toggle between those depending on the needs of the person. So let's take a look at this one. For example, I created one that's specifically for the producer on the iOS app, and I named it iOS Producer. And you'll notice that I have a big old clock here because that tells the producer what time is displaying on the computer that has ProPresenter. So as I'm doing this, it's 11:08 a.m. It's actually Tuesday, April 15th, but we don't need to know that. So anyway, it's 11:08 a.m. is when I'm doing that. And so the producer would know, okay, the service starts at 11:30. I've got 22 minutes according to this before the service starts, for example. There's also this video countdown, which you can't really see, but it is actually, let me see if yeah, I'll just move that here. And I put that in place so that whatever video is playing, they can see how much time is left without looking over my shoulder. So basically, this is a preview screen of what you're going to see, and so you can do all kinds of tweaks to it. You can move things over, you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, etc. So if I wanted to say, if I said, man, that's almost right, but they want to tweak something, I can actually make a copy of iOS Producer by going over here into the options and selecting it, and then see this button down here. I can click that, and it makes iOS Producer copy. Now I can just click on it to change the name. Let's say I want to call it iOS Producer New. I don't know. Whatever I want to call it is no big deal. So I can just click over there, change the name, and now I have the same starting point as I had, but I can add something else in. Let's say I want to add slide notes. So I'm going to slide that over here, and let's say I want to put the video countdown right over here, and the current slide notes, I can drag and drop any of these things and make them bigger. It's very intuitive in how I do this. So I can put that there, and let's say I want it to take up, basically the rest of the screen. I can. So I have a lot of flexibility in the stuff that I can do, and you can see I can make the clock go away, I can make the video countdown go away, I can change the color of the video countdown. Let's say I want it to be red, and you'll see how that it changed to red over here. So it's pretty easy to do, and I could also do like the countdowns themselves, so I could actually put in a countdown each of these 3 built-in countdowns. You only have 3 with ProPresenter 5. I wish they'd enable you to add all that you want, but I'm sure there's some very good reason. So I could have countdowns to services, things like that, just to help whoever this is intended for. Now, let's go to my band view, and I'll show you what I've done in the band view because it's got a couple other things. So again, I've got a video countdown so that if there's a video before the song that they're supposed to go up, they can see, oh, I've got 30 seconds. I better get in front of a microphone pretty quickly. Current slide shows what lyrics are up right now, and next slide shows the next lyrics that are supposed to be up. So what I can do is basically I can put this on a large LCD or plasma screen in front of the stage, or use a projector to project it onto the back wall of the auditorium, whatever I want to do. And that way the band can see not only what they should be singing right now, but the very next lyric that they will be singing in just a second. And that's particularly helpful if for some reason your ProPresenter operator ever gets distracted, someone tries to tell them something that's very important, they could actually wait until later. Any of those things, then that's helpful. Now, just to make sure that they don't get confused between these two, because these labels can be kind of smallish, another thing that I do is I change the color of the next slide. So you'll see over here, I have text only, so I can put in the background or not by clicking the text only button. I'd advise you to click the text only button, okay? Then I can also change the color of the slide text. So basically this line all goes together and this line all goes together. So for current slide, I can check the text only and leave that white so they know white means current slide. Next slide, text only again, and you'll notice that I've made that yellow. Now let's say, just to reinforce that, I'm going to change the size to make it a little bit smaller. So the current slide is 60, the next slide is 58 and yellow. So it should be very clear. Now if I had chord charts, I could actually add those in. So you'll see that I've got my chord chart right here. And I might actually create one for practice, for example, that included the chord chart if I had that set to go in. So I'm going to actually uncheck that. So I really have the ability to do quite a lot of stuff and just make it easier. Now, this borders and labels, I don't have to show the borders and labels. I can uncheck that, and you'll notice that that moves up. In the preview here, where we're editing things, the borders and labels are absolutely still necessary. But it's not necessary in the actual display, and with as small as the text is, it's possible that you really don't even want to have that. So you could have all of that as well. Now let's go back over to this, and I'm going to click the reset button, and you can see kind of the default display that Renewed Vision thinks that you would want. So you would have the clock, the video countdown, the time elapsed, current slide, next slide, slide notes for each of those underneath it. The chord chart is over here. Down below where you can't see, we've got countdowns 1 through 3 and a message box. That's something that I didn't talk about, is you can create, so down here we see the message checkbox, and I guess you couldn't actually see the reset button, but it's, if you go straight down the middle, it's down there. Under message here we have flash too, where you can just barely see the top of that text. What that does is it causes the message to flash a color. Let me click on this. Right now we've got that set for this spring green, but there's no reason it couldn't be orange or lime or I guess steel. That would be less effective, but you could absolutely do that. So you can send messages to your pastor, to your band, using this, and that way they could read it while they're on stage. So it's really a powerful feature that we have that we can do not only a stage display, but multiple stage displays. We can see next slides, we can see how much time is left in the video, we can see the elapsed time, we can see just all kinds of information using this particular feature in ProPresenter 5. And I think that it's really something that's probably underutilized. If your band is still using music stands with music on it, this might actually be a better way to do this. You could, I mean, potentially, you could put iPads all over the stage and have them see this directly. So you could have like using that app, you could have an iOS version where there's well, here let's create a new one. So I'm going to go into this. This has got the default set up here, and so let's remove these notes. Let's leave the clock and the countdown. Let's remove these timers, and let's see here. Chord chart seems like it is here. Yep, right there. So let's reorganize this a bit, shall we? So I'm going to put that there. I could leave this like this, but I think probably, let's say that I'm doing this for a musician where it doesn't matter as much that they see the next lyrics. I'm going to make that small, and then I'm going to put the chord chart over here, but I'm going to make the chord chart big. So actually, let me move that there and move this here and put this up here. You see how I just have a lot of flexibility, and so I can make the chord chart take up most of the screen, and then they have this other information, and I could absolutely just flip-flop this so that the chord chart is on the left and the clock, video countdown, current slide, next slide, etc. is on the right. So this could be very helpful to someone who doesn't have the music memorized, and they could see that. So that's all the stuff that I would take a look at if I was going to do that. Now, you'll notice that I will have to enable stage display. As I say, I don't have the hardware, so that won't necessarily work. In fact, if I do it, I think I'll get kind of a funkiness. Yeah, see? So what I got was the stage display as it's showing. So let me actually click on a lyric here so that we can see this. So this is from Angels We've Heard on High. Okay, now I'm going to enable stage display, and you can see that that's going on there. Actually, let me edit this, and then you'll be able to see the next slide. So I'm going to configure stage display here, and since this takes up less space, okay, so there we go. So when you have this up, you might want to actually have lyrics on when you're editing this, so that you can tell what it's going to look like. So again, I go back to enable stage display, and here you see that it has the time, 11:21 a.m., the current slide lyric, and then the next slide lyric, because I've got this box smaller, the next slide lyric has smaller lyrics, and there's no reason why I couldn't. Here, I'm going to click on that. There's no reason why, if I go back here, I can't, for this next slide, change this to, again, yellow. So I'm going to click on that, close that out, and, oh, yeah, enable stage display. So there we go. So now it's quite clear. This is what we're singing now, and this is what we're singing next. So just at a glance, you can tell that, and as long as you know, that's fine. So you'll notice we don't put as many words on a screen as some other churches, but I think that that's actually helpful in this case. So I don't have any chord charts, or they'd be showing up here, and there's no video countdown, or it would be showing up here. So that's basically how you do that, and how you can make a really cool stage display in ProPresenter 5. I hope that helps you, and I hope that it helps to solve problems that you might be encountering as you're working with your musicians who might be saying, oh, if I could only get what you're going to display before you display it. Well, actually, you can. Or, if I could just get my chord chart, yeah, actually, you can. Or, man, what I really wish is that I as the producer could have a countdown of how much time is left on the video without looking over your shoulder. Well, actually, you can. So those are just some things that you can do to enhance the abilities of the people that are on stage or in the background. So I hope that helps you as you're working on just doing everything you can to do the best service you can, so that people know just how important it is. Okay, until next time, I'm Paul Allen Clifford with TrinityDigitalMedia.com.